Hi guys, it's Christine from Hollis Hands Create. How are you? It's Tuesday, April 14th. I'm coming to you with an early edition of my floss tube, number 9. So one of my favorite numbers. My birthday is October 9th, and so 9 has always been a good number for me. So today I wanted to do just a quick special edition because I am kind of going through trying to figure out some Maynia things and watching too much floss tube and being inspired to start a whole bunch of other things, and especially with all the stash diving that's going on. And I thought, wow, I could stash dive or I could WIP dive, which is almost like a stash dive in some cases when I pulled out some of these WIPs and looked at the age of them. So I thought, you know what, while I have all this out, I'm going to actually film a quick floss tube. So I wanted to say thank you to commentators, commenters, not commentators, I guess you could be commentating as well. Subscribers, if you're new to my channel, you've wandered in here, this is my channel about cross stitch and maybe a few other small things. So let's give you a quick life update. Been doing, in addition to doing all this kind of cleaning out and stash diving and everything, I've been also doing a little bit of cleaning out and getting bags ready to go to Goodwill. This extra time at home, I'm home most of the time because I work from home, but my husband is working from home and he normally doesn't. So we've been setting up little lists and doing some little projects and getting things kind of done that I normally would have to wait for maybe an evening, but he travels a lot, so he's not even home some nights, or a weekend, to try to kind of, cull out a few hours to get him to help me do some things. So that's actually been kind of good, but that's about all we've been doing. Lots of eating, lots of baking. I was watching floss tube. I was watching Marlene stitching by the lake, and a couple other people. I think Carol, Salt Box Stitcher, said the same thing. Oh my gosh, why am I doing so much cooking and baking? And it's funny. I found myself, when it comes around fall time, going into winter, I start getting where I want to bake. I don't know why, but maybe it's the cool weather, maybe it's kind of a nesting instinct. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm finding I want to do the same thing. So I made sour cream coffee cake. Marlene put a great recipe out for a cherry cobbler. Not cherry cobbler, peach cobbler. My husband loves peach cobbler. We did all kinds of extra cooking, I don't know why, for Easter, since it's just the two of us. Our family Easter was everybody got onto a Zoom meeting, and so I think there was maybe 8 households, and then my daughter, who's in Italy, couldn't actually she couldn't click on the link because of international restrictions, so we just had her on the phone to be able to talk to everybody. So that was kind of cool, but that was our Easter, so there was no need to prep all this extra food, but anyway, we did, and we just said, oh, it'll be good leftovers for eating during the week. So that's kind of what we've been doing. So I'm going to have to go on to another diet here pretty quick, or we're going to have to do something. My husband said, we're eating so much, he said, when it's time to be able to go out the door, he said, I'm not going to be able to fit through the door. So I'm kind of laughing about that. But anyway, so everybody else is doing well, both girls, and the one in Seattle, Savannah, and my oldest, and her and her husband Paolo are doing well. Italy's time frame just got extended to May 4th, but they are talking about having kind of a phased, not instead of phasing out, phasing in things that you can be able to do. In other words, lifting the restrictions. But she's not sure what that means for them as far as the restaurants. I would imagine that restaurants and entertainment, bars, things like that will probably be like one of the very last things that get to be opened up. So Paolo says he's sick as to the reason why this is happening, but he's kind of actually enjoying the staycation. So this is the most time that I think they've ever spent together in the 7 years they've been married, they've been together for, I think, 12 years. But Brittany, how she got to Italy and how she even met him is she modeled for a long, long time, which means a lot of travel. And so while they were dating, she was traveling, also living in New York, coming home to where we were at that time in Pennsylvania. So she has traveled all over the world. And so they never really spent this kind of time together. But she said it's actually been really nice. So I guess that's a good thing. My son is finishing up his semester, and we're not sure what the summer is going to be for him. He got laid off from his job because he worked in a restaurant. So who knows if some of these restaurants are going to come back or not, or just what's going to happen. The restaurant that he happened to work in is actually a pretty high end, one of the probably the more expensive restaurants in the city that he goes to school in. And it's hard to say. I mean, with all of the layoffs and things, the economic impact, going out for a really high-end dinner may not be high on people's priority lists, so we're not sure exactly how that's going to work for him. So we'll but we'll figure it out. Things will go well. It'll be okay. So on to some stitching. I did, when I was finishing up my Easter decorating, I realized that I did actually forget to show one other thing that I had already finished, and that was my rabbit patch pillow. This was a market release last year, 2019 market release from Heart and Hand, Cecilia. And when she had sent out information on this, I saw this fabric, and that was how hers was finished, and I absolutely loved it. You see the back? And it's actually a flannel. So I jumped online and found a shop that had this fabric and bought I think 2.5 yards of it, and then figured out the finish and how much you would need if you're going to finish it like this as a pillow. And I actually sold that in my shop, but I also wanted to stitch it because I just think it's so cute. So anyway, I had forgotten to show that. And then as I was digging through some of my stitches that I had done that were in my spring pile, but I hadn't actually FFO'd them, I realized that I had stitched more chocolate bunnies from Hands On Design, which was also released last year. And she released this with the Sulky thread kit. So I wanted to just stitch it because I wanted to actually use the Sulky threads and see how I like them. Because this is stitched on a 32 count, but you use one thread because it's so much thicker, you get that coverage. And the coverage was excellent. I mean, you don't see anything at all inside the stitches. I mean, look at the brown on the bunnies. You would probably normally, be able to see a little bit of linen behind them, and you just don't see much of anything. So I kind of like the Sulky threads. So anyway, I got this out, and I already had this little easel back frame from Hobby Lobby. So I just finished it up like that and put it out real quick for some of my Easter decorating. So, and then I showed you my finish last video of Brenda Gervais with I Needle and Thread, the I Collect, and I did get it finished up. So this is how I did it, and I think I showed that I had received these glass topped pins. They're jet glass, and I had some of this old fashioned looking ticking, and so I just put that on and then did a tack stitch like Brenda had recommended in her finishing instructions, and then just did this as a pillow. So, and for those of you maybe who follow me on Instagram on my personal account, which is McMama Hollis, I actually did show this on my Instagram account, and I really like the way that this turned out. So that's all I had for any kind of a finish. and everything that's hanging is still what I showed you last time, so I don't have anything there. I did not finish my Easter Parade basket yet because I'm still stitching on the rabbit. So I'm going to finish those together whenever I get the rabbit completed. So the next thing I wanted to do is start this WIP Parade. I divided my WIPs into 3 different categories because a big chunk of my WIPs are because of Maynia. I did 2019 Stitch Maynia for the first time, and so I realized that I was like, well, the majority of the WIPs that I have are because I did Maynia. So I did one pile that is old WIPs, meaning pre-2019 Maynia, one pile that is all the WIPs left from Maynia, and then one pile that are the new starts since Maynia that are our current WIPs. I've had things that I've started that I have finished, and I have, you know, some finishes obviously from Maynia, but anyway, that's how I kind of divided them up, because what are Maynia starts that are current WIPs, I'm going to continue with those for Maynia for this year, so I wanted to make sure that I keep those going. I think somebody called it the Blimey method. Does that sound right? Somebody can comment and let me know where when you finish a spot, then that's when you get to start something new. So I may do that. This is all still kind of, you know, for consideration to figure out exactly how I want to do my Maynia. I've seen some great suggestions. Carol said she's going to do everything that has a red house in it. And I thought, ooh, that's kind of cool too, but then that would really require me to do a major overhaul. I think Lisa Smith and then maybe Jen from Jen Stitching Niche were talking about just doing kits, things that are already kits. So there's just so many ideas, and so I'm kind of just going through and figuring out how to be inspired here. So I'm going to show you, I have my old WIPs that were WIPs prior to last year's Maynia starting. I'm going to kind of show you those real quick. The first one, and this is just, I don't know, this is a pitiful start. It's Miss Crescent's Crown, and it's all in a moon kit. Can you see that? And I saw this as a model hanging on the wall when we were out in Albuquerque, and I believe the store out there is called Stitcher's Garden. And this is so sad that I almost don't even know how I want to show it to you. Okay, there we go. It's like this. It's a pitiful start, I know. But it's a WIP, so it's an older one, and I just haven't done anything with it. So there's that. Second one, Let It Snow banner from Stony Creek. And then this one, I'm not going to unroll because I actually have it on a roller frame. But where I will show you is I have all this done, and I'm working on this snow. And then I just have this section to do down here. So if I put my mind to it, I could probably get that one done pretty quick. Boy, this is an oldie that I just haven't done anything with. Village of Hawk Run Hollow. And where I am first block done. Oh gosh, let me show you maybe with that. First block done, outlines done. That's it. I had a hard time with this. I just didn't, I don't know. I started it because I had a couple of friends who talked me into it to do a SAL with them. And I don't know, I couldn't keep inspired to keep working on it. So anyway, I don't know. I might get back to that one, or I might not. And then next is Little House Needleworks little house neighborhood. You see that? I really like the trees, the droopy trees. And this is where I am. I really like that. Isn't that tree really cool? It's all droopy. I like that. We have 2 weeping willows on the side of our house that when we were looking for houses, when we moved down here in 2017, the previous owner had planted them in the fall. And that was just a big thing for me. I love weeping willows. We had weeping willows our neighbor had across the street where we lived in Kansas City when I was a kid, and I can remember going over and just playing under those weeping willows, and they had gooseberry plants grew along the fence behind them, and we would eat the gooseberries until we were sick, and just have tea parties and play under those. They were great big weeping willows, and I just loved it. Anyway, I digress. The next one, my one and only Mirabilia, Miss Christmas Eve. And don't mind the jack-o'-lantern on there. I'm not very good at, I'll cut him out of the screen. And this is where I stand there. So that's another one that I probably could get finished. The next big thing would be the skin, and I have to figure out if I'm going to do that all over one or not. And that decision kind of like derailed me a little bit. So anyway, there's that one. This I started last January with the grand plan that I was going to do one of these blocks a month and then be able to have it finished and framed by the end of the year so I could hang it at Christmas, and that didn't happen. Anyway, Jim Shore's 12 Days of Christmas. This is one of my favorite 12 Days of Christmas patterns. There's a few of them out there, but I just really love his. And I kept with it through March. I don't know if you can see that. There's the partridge in a pear tree, 2 turtle doves, 3 French hens. I can't really see if I can. So basically, what I did is all the stitching is done on each of those. There's a lot of beading to be done. And then the beading would, of course, get done last. So that's where that stands. And then this one, gosh, I think this got started in like maybe 2015. This is a Haid, but it's a mini. And it's called the Enchanted Christmas Reindeer. And this is where I am. Now some of this is rolled. But you can kind of see how it kind of goes around the. And I haven't worked on this in a while. So anyway, there's that one. Next, the sampler company, Brenda Keys. This is called the Floral Sampler. I think you can kind of see that. I'm getting rid of that glare. And my progress. So again, you know, it's I've got a lot done. I just need to kick myself into gear and get it finished. This block, all of this background on this one, and some of it, I believe, oh, there's a bottom block. This is all over one fill-in that you do. And then you've got 4-sided stitches in here and some satin stitch, but it's really pretty. Really pretty. And I've had this a long time. And then my last in the old WIP category is one that I started also at the beginning of last year, Rosewood Manor's Inspiration. And where I am, is all the way across the top and down one side. This is really pretty. It's so delicate. All the vining and everything, it just really is a delicate stitch, and it's really pretty. But all that vining, it really, I have to be kind of in the mood to be able to sit and really want to stitch and work on that. So anyway, so that is 9 WIPs that are finished or started prior to 2019's Maynia. So I'm going to quickly run through Maynia starts from last year, and because there are 17 of them. First, this was Dying to Stitch Club Kit, Grace on Thee. So this will probably it'll probably release this year. And my start. Just doing bricks, And the next one, Hoity Toity by Long Dog Samplers. I love this. Love those berry bowls. I got a thing for berry bowls. And this, I don't think I've worked on this since Stitch Mania. There was my start. So, kind of bad. And next I have from Brenda Gervais, Faith of the Heart. And I don't think I've worked on this one also since Maynia. Just some start on the house. Red Brick House. This one would qualify for Carol's Stitch Mania. Alrighty. Next, Live Simply. Also a Brenda Gervais. And my start. Live Simply. I'm stitching that on a 40 count, so it's going to be pretty small. And next was, and I've shown this one before, Snowflake Serenade. You can kind of see that. And where I am. So, not bad, not bad. Kind of running through these because I don't want to make this video super long. All right, this was a market release last year, Where Liberty Dwells, and I'm stitching this one, the Ohio Star. Again, I don't think I've done anything with this since Maynia last year. I need to get back to this one. I do really like it. And then the next 3 I got on a real kick with Primitive Hair, I guess, and the Spell Store. And my start, Spell Store. And the next one is Primitive Hair. Trick or Treat Pumpkin Stitch. And there he is. That's another one that I probably could finish pretty quickly too if I just spent some time. The thing with him is, I mean, you're obviously going to do the wording for Trick or Treat, but this is actually almost kind of like a penny rug where it would go around. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do that or not. I probably just need to go ahead and finish, get the words in and do the couple little motifs that are in here and see if I like it that way or not, or if I want to go ahead and do that bordering. Anyway, that one needs to get finished. And then this one is actually, I downloaded this when I purchased it from Isabella off of her site, so that's why it's paper, but it's the Old Winter. It's funny, when we were at market this year, we walked into Isabella's room and my husband saw this and he says, "Oh, that is really cool." And I looked at him, I'm like, "I'm stitching that." And there's my progress so far. He's having just a really cool face. He's really neat. So there's the Old Winter. And here's the next one, is from Plum Street Samplers, Love Thy Neighbor. Look at that sideways house. Isn't that cool? I mean, he does a sideways house. That's really neat. And again, I haven't worked on this one since my start from Maynia. So I just started on the tree. That's it. And then next is Thankful Quaker by Bent Creek. Now this one I purchased as a kit when we still lived in Kansas City, and the old mill stitchery was still open at that time. And so when I went in, they had it as a kit, and she had it on this fabric, which I absolutely loved. And I got a decent start on that. More than the kind of gray fabric that they show in here. I don't really like that gray, but when I saw that she had it kitted with this, this different fabric, and I believe it's actually Weeks straw is what it is. But anyway, I really like it, so that convinced me to buy that particular kit. Next, from Little House, Brave Hearts. I like that house. I like blue houses. I have not done much. Again, this is just some words, a few stars. All that was done during Maynia. Next, from Lila Studio, Halloween Quaker. And I've shown this one since I've been doing floss tube. And here's where I am on this one. I think the last progress that I had is I was working on these houses down here. And that's done on Murky by Picture This Plus. I really like that one. And next, Little House Needleworks, Lantern Lane. And my progress, just on the house. Making sure to fold my linen with my design on the inside because I don't want to be breaking any rules. All right. And Blackbird Designs, Feast of Friendship. Love that blue house. There should be more samplers with blue houses. And here's where I am. So, making good progress on that one as well. I'd like to get that one finished pretty quickly. And only two more in the Maynia pile. So, next one is Birds of a Feather, Bittersweet Flower Sampler. And this is where I am. I like the colors in this. I need to keep going up the stem to get to that flower because that flower's really cool. And then last in the Maynia stack of WIPs is the Quilting Bee from the Blue Flower. Janine just knocks it out of the park with her designs. And this is where I am. So yeah, I think I've actually put a couple of hours worth of work in on this one. I've worked on it maybe another night or two since Maynia. So that's where I am with those. 17 of those. So that's 20. It takes me up to 26. Then let's see. Since Maynia, I've started and actually finished some things, and I have finished because I have 17 Maynia. I think I have finished, I want to say 9. I didn't do a full 31 because last year I was also trying to do the Stitch 9 challenge. I finished 5 of the Stitch 9. What I did was I picked a night during May to focus on the Stitch 9 and made that kind of part of my Maynia as well. So I didn't have a full 31 brand new starts. So it worked out okay, and that's why I have 17 Maynia finishes. Like I said, I finished 5 of those, and then I believe I finished 6 or 7 brand new starts that were Maynia 2019, new starts, and those are finished as well. So I have done some finishes, and so I don't feel like I need to flog myself completely here. But since Maynia, I have started some new things. And so now these are WIPs. So, Autumn Dream, Cottage Garden Samplings, the Songbird series. Every one of these, all 9 of the designs of the Songbird series are just stunning. I mean, they're just so beautiful. And this one I'm doing completely called for. This is the Weeks Sanguine linen. And look at that. Absolutely love that pumpkin house. It's just like something out of a fairy tale. It's really cool. So that's one. Then I actually just started this like 2 weeks ago. Not even 2 weeks ago, maybe 10 days ago. Centerpoint sampler from the Scarlet House. And here is my start. And I started it, and I mean, I do love it, but I was like, oh, all this black right off the bat. And I don't know. I worked on it one night, and then that was it. On to something else. And the next thing that I was on to, because this is a brand new start as well, Fractor Flowers by Lottie Da. How can you not love this design? And I worked on this one, I think I worked on this one actually for 2 nights. So, oh, you know what? That's actually supposed to be, there we go. It's supposed to be like this. So I got decent progress on that one. That was probably 2 or 3 hours worth of stitching. And then my friend Noella and I decided we were going to do a stitch along, and she's probably done tons more than I have, but we wanted to do Midnight in the Garden from the Sampler Cove. This is a really beautiful sampler, and I've had a heck of a time with it. I've actually started it twice. But anyway, this is where I am, and I'm still not convinced that I like it. So I'm doing this in silks, and I've kind of, I don't know. I don't know if I like it or not, so it's in timeout. Then I've shown this one as well. This is Marianne Bourne's. I think I showed this on my last floss tube actually. And I did do a little bit of work on this last week actually. One night I did all this top part and started down the side. So she's really cool. And then I've shown this one as well. Blackbird Designs Christmas Garden. And my progress. This was my Christmas Day start from 2019. And this is actually rosewood. It's showing so much darker than it really is, but it's just a really deep magenta, but it's very stunning. And I actually have the outline all the way done. This is when I had to actually rip out part and re-stitch some of it because it didn't meet. I was off by one, which was very frustrating. I'm gonna have a collapse here from all this stuff. And then with all of the chaotic kinds of things that are going on right now with this whole quarantining COVID, I have felt very erratic. And like I started the center point sampler and I've pulled out other things and I've worked one night on them and I've just bounced from thing to thing. And then I got in, and actually I think I saw Deb's finish on her wall from Country Stitchers. She had the Friendship sampler on her wall and I really liked it. And then I remembered seeing it on Kitten Stitcher, Teresa. It's a Jenny Bean. Jenny Bean's Friendship sampler. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna have this in the shop and I'm gonna stitch one. So I started this past weekend. And I love it. I have stitched on it every single night since Friday. And I just keep one. That house, I just look at the bricks. Isn't that cool? The only thing I haven't decided on is I went ahead and I left the year in here, 1824. I may fill that in. I don't know if I'm gonna do that because on the other side, you'll see in this roof it says Jenny Bean. And I don't think I wanna have Jenny Bean in there. So if I don't have Jenny Bean, then there's no reason really to have 1824. So I probably will go ahead and fill that in. I don't know. What do you think? If you have an opinion, you could share that with me. I'd appreciate that. So, and then my next, I know I'm gonna have a start May 1st because as we've been talking about, we're gonna be doing the berry bowl. And I've shown you guys that. Sorry to get right into your face. I've got so much stuff, I'm like surrounded. I'm not gonna be able to get up. My husband went out to mow the lawn just a little bit ago. So I told him, I said, you gotta get out so I can do this. And so I may be sitting here when he comes back in, waiting for him to move some things so I can actually get up. Anyway, so there's the berry bowl sampler. Love, love, love this. Cannot wait to start this. It's a May 1st Sal that my friend Kristen and I are hosting. And I'm gonna show you, I think she just did a floss tube this last week, Blue Bonnets and Whiskey. And she showed what her 2 pieces of fabric that she picked were. It's done, I wanna say they used Heartland, PTP Heartland, and I don't remember what they used for the other side. Anyway, I'm using Heartland and I'm using Vellum. So these will be my 2 together. And I am going to stitch, I'm gonna actually sew these together and then stitch across because I know talking to with Tanya that it definitely for this part right here, it'll be much easier to stitch that. So if they're already stitched together, and then just probably loosely press that open. And anyway, so those were my 2. It was Vellum PTP and Heartland from PTP. I wanted the same fabric from a specific company because at least the texture of the fabric will match, and I think that'll make for a nicer, sampler when it's finished. But I do like the idea of doing the two separate colors. And when that vellum came out this year, I absolutely loved that. So I have a bunch more of that on order for the shop, because as soon as it came in, it flew right out the door. So I do have a bunch more. Oh, and you know what? My last thing, I showed you last week the finish that I had for the basket for Easter Parade. But here's the progress that I have, and it's in my lap frame that I use. Here's my progress on the rabbit. Almost forgot to show you. So this would be actually my last new start since Maynia. It's still a WIP, and it's in my lap frame. Basically, you just slide this part right under your seat, and it just goes up and down. So anyway, that works pretty well. So there's 7 of those. So I was at 26. That takes me to 33, plus I'll have 34 when I add in the berry bowl sow. So that's 34 WIPs. So I could plug in all of those into Maynia with a couple left over. I'm not sure. I don't know. What do you think? So if you want to comment below, that'd be great. If not, that's fine too. Last thing I do want to do is I'm going to announce the winner of my giveaway from last week, which I think I have now buried. It was the Stand By Your Peeps chart. Oh, good gravy. Oh, here it is. That was presented to all the shops with has all the buttons and the little carrot by Just Another Button Company. And the winner of that giveaway is Sharon Loftus. And so Sharon, if you would email me, and I actually, you know what, I have your physical address, so I can mail it to you. Sharon has purchased from me from the shop, and just so happens that she actually lives in the same town that I do. So I'll just mail that to you. So you don't even have to. You can respond if you want, or you can email me if you want to. That'd be fine. But anyway, so that's the winner for that. Next time I'll do another giveaway. I kind of got going in this WIP thing and just thought, so I didn't really put this all together the way I normally would. But anyway, just kind of wanted to go through and show all the WIPs, and before I put everything kind of back into some kind of semblance of order and figure out what I'm gonna do for Stitch Maynia. And so when I do another video in a few days or 10 days or whenever I'm gonna do it, 2 weeks, something like that, I'll kind of then have my Maynia plans all firmed up and go from there. So I hope everyone is doing really well. I hope that you're, if you are by yourself, that you're able to have people to talk to, or even if it's just watching, FlossTube, if you're commenting and getting comments back and that kind of thing, it's great. I have a group of stitchers that, in fact, tonight we'll be doing a virtual stitching group. We've been using Zoom the last several weeks to get together, and we sit and stitch, and it has just been great. And honestly, when this all is over, I wouldn't mind just keeping going with that virtual stitching group. It's just so nice to be able to sit and stitch and chat. So if you've got somebody that you can do that with, that would be great. Go ahead and do it. And if not, then I'll chat with you if you wanna email me or comment below or something like that. I think that's great. I hope everybody stays well, and hope you enjoyed this WIP Parade, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye.